We are grateful to our cooperating partners for having made this process possible. We are also very grateful for everything that the Electoral Commission of Zambia has done up to this point in collaboration with the Electoral Reform Technical Committee. Without further ado, I wish to welcome you all to this meeting, and I wish us all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, PS, for the welcoming remarks. Indeed, we are all welcome for this very important function. But before we get into the details of the whole process, I think it's only fair that we somehow relax a bit for a very short entertainment. As you know, just before you take a very special meal, it's always advisable to have a bit of water to open up the whole process. So I'll call upon the dancing troupe to come in and give us a very short entertainment as we prepare for the next process. Please, the dancing troupe, you can move in. Familiar with the language, what the group is. Thanks very much, the dance group. For those who may not be familiar with what they were singing, they were simply saying that whatever I've been looking for, it is now here. At this point in time, I will call upon the Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Brian Kasalo, who in turn give you a few remarks and call upon the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Mr. Kasalo, sir.
Well, good morning. Let me also join the Director of Programs and the PS in recognizing the presence of the Honorable Minister of Justice, Princess Kasune MP, the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, Mrs. Mwangala Zalumis, State Counsel, Commissioners of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, the Learned Attorney General, Mr. Kabesha, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Justice, in charge of legal, Mrs. Mwenya Walia, Chairperson of and members of the Electoral Reform Technical Committee, representatives of the UNDP, and indeed cooperating partners. This morning we've already been welcomed. I'm here to really just take this rare privilege and invite the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Zambia to deliver her official remarks as she also hands over the report of the Technical Committee to the government through the Ministry of Justice. Madam Chairperson, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Honorable Minister of Justice, Honorable Princess Kasune, the Learned Attorney General, Mr. Mlilo Kabesha, State Counsel, Commissioners of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, the Permanent Secretary, Legal Minister of Justice, the Chief Electoral Officer of ECZ, the Chairperson and members of the Electoral Reform Technical Committee, United Nations Development Program representative, I wish to welcome you to this event today. This is a special event. It's a milestone for the Electoral Commission that for the first time we embarked on this project, exercise, for the sake of the Zambians and for your sake. On behalf of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and indeed on my own behalf, we are delighted to be here today. This is a very significant day where the Electoral Commission of Zambia officially handing over the report of the Electoral Reform Technical Committee to the Minister of Justice. As you are aware, this is the first time that ECZ instituted a committee to look into the electoral process in this country. Today's occasion is not merely ceremonial. It's a defining moment in Zambia's continued journey to deepen our electoral process, to deepen the journey of democracy, and uphold the constitutional values upon which our land our nation stands. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to begin by reiterating our sincere gratitude to the chairperson and members of the Electoral Reform Technical Committee. As you may recall, the Electoral Reform Technical Committee was established in July 2024, pursuant to Section 7 of the Electoral Commission of Zambia Act number 25 of 2016. The objective of the electoral reforms was to review the legislative, administrative, and policy framework for elections and identify areas that will require legal amendments and those that may require policy or procedural changes. The committee was tasked with 4 core objectives. 1, to undertake comprehensive law reform governing the electoral process to enhance the credibility of elections. 2, to identify gaps in the legal framework requiring constitutional and statutory amendments. 3, to harmonize the legislative framework governing the electoral process. And 4, to propose policy, administrative, and procedural amendments for consideration by the Commission. Membership of the committee is drawn from the Electoral Commission of Zambia itself, Zambia Law Development Commission, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Information and Media, and Office of the Vice President, Gender Division, Human Rights Commission, Zambia Police Service, Zambia Agency for Persons with Disability, University of Zambia, Corbett University, Dag Hammarskjöld Institute of Peace and Conflict Studies, Law Association of Zambia, civil society organizations, the church, faith-based organizations, Zambia Center for Inter-Party Dialogue, and eminent citizens with experience in elections, governance, conflict management, and law reforms. So as you've heard, the composition, it was a committee of highly experienced, representative, and people who've been in the electoral process for a very long time. In line with Section 4.3 of the Electoral Commission of Zambia Act number 25 of 2016, the ERTC conducted country-wide consultations among various stakeholders to ensure that process was inclusive. Stakeholders made oral and written submissions. The committee conducted public sittings in provincial headquarters in October 2024. The public sittings were held in all the provincial headquarters of the 10 provinces. Just in case people have forgotten, I will remind you what the provincial headquarters were. Chinsali in Muchinga province, Chipata in Eastern province, Chama in Southern province, Kabwe in Central province, Kasama in Northern province, Lusaka in Lusaka province, Mongu in Western province, Mansa in Luapula province, Ndola in the Copperbelt province, and Solwezi in Northwestern province. And these were public hearings where the committee received submissions from interested persons and also from representatives of the various stakeholders in all the provinces. The purpose of these sittings was to facilitate broad stakeholder consultation and participation, providing an opportunity for individuals, institutions, traditional leaders, political parties, churches, and other interest groups to contribute to the electoral reform process. And this did not exclude written submissions made by most of the political parties. Distinguished guests, from the above, it is evident that the committee was appointed with a clear and ambitious mandate to undertake a comprehensive review of the legal policy and administrative frameworks governing our electoral process. That task has now culminated in the comprehensive report we are handing over today. This report represents the product of wide-ranging consultations and thoughtful deliberations. It reflects the voices and perspectives of many, from ordinary citizens who participated in public sittings to electoral stakeholders, experts and institutions who made submissions and shared insights. The diversity of views and the inclusivity of the process underscores the legitimacy of this document and the value it holds of our democratic future. Ladies and gentlemen, here are a few highlights of some of the submissions received and recommendations. Constitutional matters. The issues covered under the constitutional matters included mixed member proportional representation, electoral system, delimitation of constituencies, cancellation of election on resignation, and appointment of cabinet ministers. These key issues have been selected to illustrate the extent of the submissions received, but specifically the following: delimitation of constituencies. Submitters propose that large constituencies be delimited to enhance development, improve political representation, enhance efficiency of service delivery, and ensure quality of the vote. They further recommended that the number of constituencies as provided under Article 68 of the Constitution be increased to implement the delimitation. The ERTC recommends in that voluminous book that you see, Article 68 of the Constitution be amended to increase the number of constituencies in line with delimitation. And this is work in progress, and once it's done, Honorable Minister, it will be handed over to the government in a very short time. Cancellation of elections. Submitters propose that in the event a candidate dies or resigns after nomination, the ECZ should not call for fresh elections. In addition, the committee received submissions related to the Electoral Process Act and Code of Conduct included. Nomination period for general elections and objections to the provisional register of voters. These key issues are being highlighted to illustrate the extent of the submissions received, the analysis conducted, and the recommendations made by the ERTC. We'll just highlight from the Constitution to the conduct of elections. There are many more. Nomination period for general elections. Submitters highlighted the need to amend the law to protect against unnecessary resignations aimed at causing delays in elections, that the period for challenging nominations should be extended from 7 to 14 days, and that the nomination fees should be reduced to facilitate the participation of candidates from marginalized groups, especially women, youth, and people living with disabilities. The ERTC recommends that Part 4 of the Electoral Process Act be amended to introduce a pre-nomination period of 14 days. A pre-nomination period of 14 days. And why is this? It should be amended to place the responsibility on candidates to have their documents verified and authenticated before submitting them to ECZ. Electronic voter registration. Submitters propose that the Electoral Process Act be amended to include provisions for electronic voter registration. This is not voting, but electronic voter registration. This amendment is aimed of modernizing the voter registration process, enhancing efficiency, improving accessibility, and ensuring greater accuracy in the identification of the voter and in the management of the voter's role. This is not about electronic voting, it's about registration of a voter. The ERTC recommends an amendment to the Electoral Process Act to provide a section on use of technology in the electoral process, which will provide for the use of biometric voter registration and identification systems. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm emphasizing on this point because some people might think that ECZ has introduced electronic voting or is trying to introduce electronic voting. This is about registration of voters using the biometric system and identification of the voter, which we find that is cumbersome and it takes a long time. And the voters tends to spend more time in the polling station than is necessary. Ladies and gentlemen, the committee has produced recommendations that will no doubt will set the national discourse, which will contribute to the decision-making on how best to strengthen Zambia's electoral systems and processes. As a commission, we hope we have reviewed the report and wish to commend the ERTC for its diligence, impartiality, and commitment to this critical national assignment. The recommendations contained herein are far-reaching and provide a strong basis for reform, from legal amendments to institutional capacity enhancement, policy, and improved procedures. Distinguished guests, the handover of this report to the Minister of Justice marks the beginning of a new phase, that of government review, policy consideration, and ultimately legislative action where required and where necessary. We are confident that government will provide the necessary guidance and facilitate further processes for the consideration and implementation of this recommendation in line with established government procedures. As we hand over this report, we are reminded that electoral reform is not a destination, but a journey. at any given time. It is a continuous process that must adapt to emerging challenges and opportunities, public expectations, and evolving democratic norms. The Commission remains committed to playing its part in this journey and will continue to engage with all stakeholders to ensure that the reform reflect the aspirations of the Zambian people. In closing, allow me to express our gratitude to the Democracy Strengthening in Zambia project, managed by the United Nations Development Programme, for the support towards the work of the ERTC. This collaborative approach reflects the importance of partnerships in advancing democratic governance and institutional strengthening. Once again, I wish to thank the chairperson and members of the Electoral Reform Technical Committee, stakeholders, and the general public for their contributions. Your voices have shaped this report, and your input will continue to shape the future of our democracy. We appreciate the time spent, the nights you spent preparing, not sleeping. I know you lived for weeks outside your homes in the preparation of this report, and we had the best out of you. We got the best out of you. We thank you very much. Honorable Minister, it is now my honor to officially hand over the report of the Electoral Reform Technical Committee to the government. Through you, Honorable Minister of Justice.
Thank you very much, the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission. I will now invite the Minister to just calm down. Indeed, from the speech, I was able to pick a very important phrase that electoral reforms is not a destination, but a journey. As a most valuable parcel arrives, it will be brought in by a dance troupe, and the process of handover will proceed. The dance troupe, please. There you are, our most wanted parcel. where you are. Thank you very much, the dance group. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the dance group. Thank you very much, the dance group. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, the dance group. Thank you very much, dance group. The dance which was going on is called Chinsengwe, and it comes from the Soli-speaking people from Lusaka province, who are actually supposed to be the owners of this Lusaka. So that is called Chinsengwe. Thank you very much, the chairperson, for that very important handover. At this point in time, I'll call upon the PS Legal to come and welcome the minister as she gives her remarks. The PS Legal.
All protocols observed once again. It is my singular honor and privilege to call upon the Minister of Justice, Honorable Princess Kasone, MP. You're welcome, ma'am. Let's just give her a round of applause as she comes to the podium.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, that's better. It is a much better day. Thank you, Carlos. And to the media houses, good morning. It's good to have you here. Wow, what an amazing day. It is a historic day for Zambia, but indeed for all of us. Without wasting much time, I just want to say, I want to acknowledge, of course, the man that we work together with in the Ministry of Justice, and this is Attorney General Mr. Mulilo Kabesha, State Counsel himself, and always being there for this nation. We appreciate you. The chairperson for the Electoral Commission of Zambia, Mrs. Mwangala Zalomis, State Counsel. I was just sharing how much I've come to read about you and your just vast and rich and experience when it comes to these issues of the constitutional process, constitutional amendment. I was like, wow, I couldn't realize, I was amazed, sorry, I was overtaken that in Zambia we have people of your caliber, eminent persons, and I'm sure you're not the only one, but thank you, ma'am, for having served this nation for so many years and so many commissions. And to the Permanent Secretary Legal, Madam Mwenya Kaela Walia, thank you so very much, together with the MOJ team, meaning Minister of Justice team that is here, and all the work as well you're putting in as a ministry. I'm proud to be part of all of you at Minister of Justice. The chairperson of the Electoral Reforms Technical Committee, as we have come to know it, ERTC, Mr. Robson Chongo, again, for you as well, the little time we had, and just to hear of your rich experience and to have learned that you are once a member of parliament. I have to go and see in the journals what you were doing, but it seems that your experience also speaks volumes on your behalf. Thank you very much. the commissioners from the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and in particular also to single out the Chief Executive Officer for the Electoral Commission of Zambia, Mr. Casaro, and your team. We are grateful for your work. All the senior government officials represented here, the members of the ERTC, you have been busy, as your chairperson has already alluded to, and we cannot thank you enough, and for you that have made it even this morning. To the members of the press, without you, once again, we cannot take the message and the continuous work that is happening to all the corners of Zambia, and we hope that others will broadcast in local languages so that no one is left behind. May I just say simply, ladies and gentlemen, all the distinguished invited guests, for me today is one day that I have to speak very brief because of the intense work has been done by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and as you have seen that the report has been handed over to Minister of Justice so that we can begin to see what some of the recommendations were. And so it is without much words that we just want to say thank you to you, Chairperson, Madam Zalomes, and indeed in the entire team who have really given the recommendations that will be much ready to dive into, and having given us some of the synopsis from your speech. As you know, my fellow Zambian citizens, this will really help a lot in the work of drafting of the constitution amendments, as was already stated in the introduction of this process in Parliament. Indeed, clearly, the report today will not only be the end of it in itself, but we are continuing with a lot of consultations from the different stakeholders, so that when we come up with the draft, it will be a representation of hopefully as many Zambians, if not all Zambians. Yeah, I know it can never be 100%. The conversations also that have been happening in our country, these are very healthy conversations around the constitutional amendment. I want to say thank you to all the Zambian people and all of you that are in the room. This is as it should be. We are in a democratic dispensation, and hence diverse views are very much encouraged, and yet united under the banner of one Zambia, one nation, and indeed a better Zambia that we are looking for. So with the receiving of this report today, as I've already alluded to, is a tremendous part or a very critical part of the drafting process. And we at Ministry of Justice, we are grateful once again to ECZ through the chairperson and indeed the entire team for this great work. And we hope that we'll continue to keep each other posted, to continue the conversations as we look forward to a successful and constitutional amendment that represent all Zambians. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I think she deserves a much better round of applause. Indeed, Honorable Minister, this is a very important day for us as you receive this report. The task has started at the Ministry of Justice to try and scrutinize what is in this report and indeed give the best to the people of Zambia. We are almost coming to the end of our program, but before we close our program, I think I'll request everybody to stand up for the national anthem. And after the national anthem, I'll invite the invited guests to go for a photo session outside. Shall we be all outstanding for the national anthem? The PS, please, you may lead us. Zambia, proud and free, land of work and joy, unity, victors in the struggle for the right. We for freedom fight, oh one Africa is our own motherland. Fashion with thy place, thy God, good hand. Let us, O our people, join as one, brothers under the sun. Oh, one, strong and free, one under none we share is our cry. Dignity and peace neath Zambia's sky. Land Nambo eagle in his pride. Zambia, praise to thee. Oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to, praise be, praise be, praise be, praise our great nation, Zambia, Zambia. Free men we stand under the flag of our land, Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Thank you very much. As we are standing, we shall allow the VIP to go to the holding room as we prepare for the photo session, and we all join for the photo session outside. Thanks very much for all those who have made it to come.